Hello, bonjour, huedat, dumela, legai, linjani, salibonani, magadi, mulibwanji, mulishani, habari. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuned in from. Thank you for joining me. This is Get to Know Them. These are Ego Wings facilitators. We dive into their lives to get to know who they are, what they're all about, what it is that they like. My name is Candy and I'm your host. Thank you for joining me once again. What an honor to have all of you here. Believe it or not, this is episode 6. If you haven't watched the other 5 episodes, please go on to all the social media platforms and get to know who the other speakers are all about. But today, let's concentrate on this phenomenal woman that is joining me. She is also giving of herself. She is amazing, she is brilliant, and she is also the first Dr. Urologist female in Zambia. I won't disclose her age. She will do that if she wants to, but an amazing, dynamic woman. I am honored and privileged to be joined by Dr. Mumba Chalwe. So allow me, everyone, to welcome Dr. Mumba. Mumba, how are you? How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. I'm pretty excited about being featured here. I've been watching the other speakers. I've been following you on your social media platforms, on the website, and I just love.
Thank you so much. It is lovely to see you, and thank you for making the time. I know you are hectic, and you are very busy at the hospital, and really I appreciate this. So as I've said, today we don't want to know your professional background, but we just want to get to know who Mumba is. So who is Mumba?
I'm a fun-loving somebody. I just, want to go out there, do what I can to make people a little happier than they were before they saw me and met me, share knowledge, share my passions, and just help people feel better about themselves.
Lovely. Well, anyway, I hope you didn't think you were going to get away with it. I'm still going to ask. You are the first female urologist doctor. Oh my goodness, please tell us about that. How does it feel? How did you feel when you found out that you were the first?
I actually went in there looking for it's a long story.
And, we have the time, I think. As long as you have the time, we are happy to hear it.
I actually, with my husband, who's also a doctor, he's also a surgeon, we really wanted to balance out early on in our family life how we're going to balance our work. And he's in a very fast-moving, fast-paced subspecialty of surgery. So it was very important for us then to kind of balance. Plus, I am not really an adrenaline junkie. I wasn't looking for too much stress. We then looked into urology, and the first thing that struck me was that a large percentage, especially in Zambia, of the patients are male. My dad was quite taken aback, and for the longest time, I didn't tell my in-laws what it is I do. So that's quite funny. When I found out that I was the first, it was actually somewhere along my training late. It was a bit too late to quit then. So I get to the department, and I'll never forget. Those were the loveliest set of gentlemen I've ever met, and they were so, so caring, and really, I didn't feel, female or male, or they were so passionate about their work and so passionate about, including me. That was only somewhere along the line I realized, wait a minute, I think I'm the only female here. So it was like an aha moment for the whole department. And, we don't know how to act. We're all thinking, okay, so what's appropriate, what's not appropriate? It was a learning experience for all of us. And it was we grew as a department, as a person. I grew. It was a very enriching kind of experience.
Perfect. So, Doc,
someone just walked into my office.
We really appreciate and we do understand, and we're being real today. We're just getting to know your life. So you know me, I'm really going to dive into this. So, oh my goodness, 2 doctors in one house. So when you get home, do you guys talk about your days, or you just think, hi Han, I'm okay, cheers, and then you don't talk about it? How is your household? How do you manage as 2 doctors? What's the conversation like?
The conversation, well, our mornings start off with, what's your day like? How many cases do you have? Are you operating today? Why? Because the one who's not operating is it. They need to go pick up the kids. so that's kind of like, okay, you are the bum today, so you get to do dinner, pick up the kids, and that's kind of like our dynamic, you know. We really try to make sure that things are, the kids, for example, don't feel a gap, the household is running. And, you know, if we have complex cases, though we're in different specialties, you know, we'll kind of bounce ideas off each other. What do you think I should do? My answer is usually, I think you should call your fellow, because look, I'm tired, I don't know. Really. We do try to make sure work stays at work. And when we get home, we really focus on renewing strength, replenishing, and resting, and, you know, spending time together as a family, which is very important for us. It's very, very important. So we do make every effort to try and balance that out. Not to say it's easy. It's not. It gets crazy. But it's all about, you know, I think Oprah Winfrey once said that you can have it all, maybe not at the same time, not always at the same time, but you can achieve what you need to achieve. Some days you'll be a really good mom. Some days you'll be a really good surgeon, and that's okay. That's really okay. It's not a race. It's not a competition. You just gotta put your best foot forward and do what needs to be done.
I love that. I really, really love that. So maybe to help, you know, the people tuned in, I've just seen someone asking, please, could you, I don't know if it's possible to briefly share what your specialty is when we talk about you being a urologist, just so that people understand what it is that you do. And then I can dive into the next question that I want to ask, just for, you know, our viewers to know what your specialty is.
So it's interesting that you ask. Urologists worldwide, depending on where you practice, we do have, I think in the UK, they're very specific. They're called urological surgeons because it's a surgical subspecialty. In other parts of the world, I think it's urologist, and it encompasses both surgical and non-surgical. What we basically do is we deal with the urinary system. That's the kidneys, the bladder, prostate, but that's not what we're renowned for. We're known as the men's health doctors. I think only because that's slightly more interesting than kidneys. No one wants to hear about kidneys, but, you know, men's health, that's like, ooh, what do you deal with? So I think that's what it is. But we're urinary tract doctors. In my case, surgery, non-surgical treatment, so it encompasses everything. I know in other countries, there's even general urologists, then you have the subspecialties, but on the continent, I think mostly a urologist is basically encompasses everything from the medical treatment, surgical treatment, actual operations. We do everything. I actually treat children as well as women with urological problems. This is where we intersect with the gynaes as well. So we do work hand in hand with them as well. So it's quite a broad field, which is what makes it very interesting. and it makes it, you're never bored. There's never a dull moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they would be. But thank you so much for explaining it to us. So my next question is, your in-laws, how did that conversation go when finally you said, I have something to share? Was it you who shared, or was it hubby who shared? How did that conversation go?
We haven't had that conversation yet. We actually haven't had it yet. It's kind of like my mom-in-law and I are very frank with each other. We're very close. So she just laughs and says, oh, you know what? That's fine. That's fine, my girl. I'm proud. You do you. You do you. My brother-in-law as well. He actually knew because we're quite close as well. And he says, ooh, girl. Yeah, urologist. Wow. So it makes makes for good jokes at family gatherings. The older folk, we just keep them in the dark. Let's just do that.
Very wise. I like that. Okay, now I think now I am happy. I can see that also our viewers are really enjoying this conversation. So the next question is, what does Mumba love? What does she like? What does she do for fun?
I at heart am very artistic and creative. I love crafting. I make candles. I love to work with my hands. I like I like stuff. I like doing stuff. So, interior decor, anything that will tickle my fancy. But generally, one of my favorite things to do is candle making, crafts, working with essential oils. I like that, and I like to experiment with that. I actually tried to make my own beauty products at some point, but that didn't go so well. But I like to experiment with stuff. I'm a very handsy person. I like to, work with my hands. I love to cook, and I just love to be creative. That's really how I let off steam. When I'm not doing that, I like to read fictional books. I'm also a writer. In the past, I did a lot of poetry. I've actually lost touch with that, but I have gone into, academic writing. I'm an editor with one of the journals on the continent. So that keeps my writing, my passion for writing alive. And what else do I like to do? I love to do hair, actually. Yes, I love to braid. I'm very good with hair, actually. Very, very good. I'm really good with braiding. I can do picking. Well, is that what it's called? Picking. Literally, I once did my whole head. Took me 3 days, but I did it. Now, because I'm busy, I don't do that anymore. Weaving, I'm very good. I can do a mean weave. Yeah, so those are things I like to do. I really, really enjoy doing, crafty things, working with my hands.
Wow, Doc, I would never have guessed it in a million years. So, okay, on the candles, do you sell your candles, or you just do them for you?
No, I don't. I do them for me. If you want candles, you come to you're coming to my place, I can give you a candle. But it's a hobby. I'm still perfecting it. Yeah. So okay. It's very relaxing. I love the scent. So it's very relaxing even as you're making the candles. It's a very relaxing kind of, I really enjoy it.
Wow. So you do both scented and unscented candles?
Yes. Yes.
Lovely. Lovely. Okay. Braiding, Doc. is into braiding. It is amazing what you doctors are all about. It's like being a doctor is not enough, so you go into other areas. Okay, braiding. And it's unfortunate you only have boys. You don't even have a daughter who you can.
So I braid my own hair.
No, that's okay. That is okay. We'll give it to you. But interesting, lovely. So, Doc, when did you have your aha moment where you knew that speaking was something that you needed to do, that you also wanted to give of yourself? When did that moment ring for you?
I don't think I had an aha moment. I kind of always found myself speaking, needing to speak. And over time, it sort of evolved into bigger and bigger stages and, larger and larger audiences. And I remember the most recent was the TEDx, when TEDx was in Lusaka, and we had the professional speaking coaches, and one of them said to me, "Doc, you should really, really consider doing this on a more professional stage." And I just laughed it off. But I do realize that there is something there, and it is an opportunity to use my platform to, to help more people and to teach more people. And, there's many people who will identify with, a young Black woman like myself. And it's important that our voices are heard and that our faces are seen out there, so that, the young African can also be encouraged and can also, find purpose and meaning.
I love that, Doc. When you say that, voices and faces need to be out there, and it's time to give back, especially the younger females out there. I'm gonna ask you, Doc, in terms of your field and, you being a doctor and the way you want to teach, are you more into mentorship? Do you look at people that you can help to bring onto your field, or do you just sort of help them to be doctors in general?
So the answer is two-pronged. I'm actually part of the mentorship program with the University of Global Health Equity. It's based in Kigali, not Kigali, but in Rwanda. So I'm on an official mentorship program there, where I have a mentee, and we run the program with each mentor-mentee relationship lasting 2 to 3 years. So it's a very long-term kind of thing. Then on the home front, I am part of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. I'm the northern representative. So we do have deliberate kind of efforts to increase the representation of younger female doctors in the field. And at a more personal level, I do have not official mentees, but I do try to make sure that I keep the channel open for even the up and coming trainees in my field, in the surgical field, in medicine in general. I really am quite passionate about that. So it's at different fronts. I do try my best to at least be available and be open.
So you being a urologist, first female urologist in Zambia, do you also have mentors? Is it easy for you when you approach, other doctors in their fields and to say, hey, I'm looking for a mentor? Is it easy? Do you get them like, yes? Or is there that moment like, how is it like?
The secret is to befriend them without telling them you're my mentor, and then kind of worm your way. There's a lot of women that inspire me, and I try to reach out. I learned early on in my career that you may not have one single mentor that will fulfill all your needs, and it's very important to differentiate between mentors and sponsors. So I've tried to make sure I have a mix of both, and I just spread out, the people who I can reach out to. There is some surgeons right here in Zambia. There's connections that I've made with, like the Association of Women Surgeons. This one is international, so you make connections there as well, and just broaden sort of the scope of the kind of network that you find yourself in. And even outside medicine, I try to find people that I can connect with that I know will help me become a better person, so that I can, kind of do the same for others.
Okay. They do say when you're having fun, time just, I don't know where it escapes from. So it's almost
yes, I
end of
actually
that
have an
session.
11 o'clock. I've just seen
Absolutely,
it.
yes. So in closing, Doc, what advice would you give people on how to navigate life? What would you say to people?
My secret, actually, I don't know if it's working, but so far so good. I actually navigate my life. This was actually the topic of my TED talk, my TEDx talk. I navigate life almost like the OR, the operating room. Some of the principles that I've learned from my surgical training and from being a surgeon really help. Things like leaving my bias, my personal biases and my expectations, putting them to the side and approaching things, head on, not using too much emotion in decision making. And resilience, perseverance. Those are sort of things that were taught to me through my surgical training and in my practice as a surgeon. And to be honest, I just kind of use that mindset, that kind of line of thought to sort of navigate through my day-to-day life. So my advice is, everyone kind of figures their own way around things, but I think it's important to have a method that you do follow, stick to some basic principles, and have a good tribe around you, have a good support group. Support can never be underestimated. You need to have a good support group, people you can rely on, people you can talk to. It's a team effort, believe it or not. It's actually a team effort.
And there you have it, Dr. Mumba Chalwe. Thank you so much for joining us. What an honor to speak to you. Oh, thank you so much. So again, to all our listeners, all our viewers out there, thank you very much for being a part of this episode 6. So you've heard it for yourself. Here is a doctor who loves to make candles, who braids her hair. Now, if you know an African woman and her hair, it's a serious thing there. You never go wrong with a woman's hair. And she braids her own hair. So again, thank you very much for having made the time. Join me again next week when I bring in another phenomenal speaker. This is to get to know who they are. At the end of the day, you get to see that they're as easy as you and I. So wherever you are, have an amazing morning, afternoon, good evening, live large, and let's be bold. Be safe out there. See you next week.